What's up, peeps? Look, man, SEC Connect. We got myself, my boy Ty J is on travel today. Steven should be on a little bit later. And look, Chris is always late. So, we will be here talking about everything from week 3, man. Uh, Ty, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Not much. What a week of football. Not a lot of surprise, but a lot to talk about. Well, I guess there was some surprise, but
Yeah.
still.
So the first topic that, I had text us about Archmania, man, is kind of taking over right now. And it's kind of crazy to see uh, because I was not expecting to happen this soon. The sad thing about Quinn Ewers is he hasn't been healthy since his sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
So he hasn't made it through a complete season since his sophomore year of high school. So I think we all knew as Texas fans it was going to happen, just didn't know it was going to happen at week 3.
What is it? 5 years in a row now?
5 years in a row, he's been nicked up with something. So in high school, it was the
That's
hernia,
terrible.
right? High school was the hernia, right? When he played in the state championship game. First year in college, since he skipped his senior year, he had COVID, right? So I don't really count it as an injury, but he got COVID and he missed pretty much
That's
all
not
of
on
training
him.
camp. Yeah,
Everybody had
yeah.
COVID.
Everybody got COVID, right? Um, the first year at Texas, the Alabama game happened, all right, and that kept him out for a while. And Chris with a K steps in. What's up, Chris?
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Last year he got hurt again, right? And this year he gets hurt again, and Arch has to step in, right? So the Arch Mania train, Chris, that's what we're talking about. And Texas beat UTSA and all the hypes on Arch Manning because he's a Manning, and the most favorite person on the roster is always the backup quarterback. So we're just
True.
kind of talking about Arch Manning and everything. But Ty, go ahead.
Well, listen, I caught I won't say a lot of flack, right? One of the beautiful things that I've experienced doing YouTube is like on my channel, very rarely do people come just talking out the side of their neck. Now it happens, right? We're all YouTubers. We've all had that happen, but I've been very blessed to where most people, even if they disagree with me, it's from a football standpoint and respectful disagreement. That's the basis of everything. But I bring that to you because whenever Arch was in high school, I made a video called The Truth About Arch Manning whenever some of the industry people were saying, like, oh, well, if his name was Arch Simpson, he'd be a 3-star.
Yeah,
And
right.
in that video, I told them, and I said, the truth about Arch is that he is an incredibly gifted quarterback, right? Like, everyone said, oh, well, he didn't camp. Well, he went to that Clemson camp as a sophomore or junior. Please forgive me. I don't remember the year. And had some throws that were just going viral. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Sark, all these guys wanted Arch. That says something. And the basis of that video was saying, hey, this is an incredible quarterback class. So if you don't think he's the number one quarterback in this class, that's one thing, right? You can have your favorite quarterback in this class. I loved Nico. I was like, you can have that. But to say that he's some 3-star, that's facetious. That's disingenuous. That's not what this is. So Arch steps in, and we talked about this on Monday night. Arch is a very gifted person, and he unlocks something in the Sark offense that Sark doesn't have with Quinn. Though this year, listen, I've been one over the past few years. I wouldn't say I've been tough on Quinn. I'd say I've been honest in saying, hey, whenever you start hitting that deep ball at the
It's a wrap.
accuracy that you do,
It's a
Sark's
wrap.
offense completely unlocks. Sark's had to scheme things up because you've been inconsistent in that area. Well, so far this year, he's been lights out. This is the Quinn that I was always saying, like, hey, if he hits that deep shot, you're going to see a different quarterback. This has been that Quinn, which is why it's so unfortunate. But Quinn doesn't have the wheels that Arch has. Now, I think in a perfect world, Quinn Ewers comes back, finishes out the season. Arch has a few games to kind of go, really get some taste of what it's like to be quarterback 1 for Texas, and then gets to go back to being quarterback number 2, continue learning, and take over the realm or take over the reins next year for Texas. But I mean, I know someone's saying it was against a high school team. UTSA is awful this year. Like Texas State stepped on them
Yeah, unexpectedly.
unexpectedly.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
expecting to be better
Unexpectedly,
this year.
to be honest with you.
but he still looked good, right? It's just like that spring game. And what I say about Nico, I don't care if you're playing Bishop Sycamore. If a wide receiver is running and they do this and a ball falls out the sky and hits them in the hands while they're in stride, coverage is like you can have closer coverage. That's still an elite throw. So yeah, I really I can't say that I wasn't impressed with what Arch did because I was, but I mean, I always thought he was a talented quarterback, so I expected him to do things that made us kind of go, "Oh wow."
Chris, how about you, man?
Hey, I mean, you guys went out there and did yet again what you have been doing, which is you beat another team that a lot of us thought was going to be pretty good. It's not a slight. This is just being real. Like you guys went out there and exposed another team. That's what you did. A team that we all thought was going to be pretty good or whatnot. We all respect Jeff Traylor on this panel, but they look like they are kind of in a rebuild, not necessarily reload, but a rebuild down there because usually they're more disciplined in that. They've played you guys tougher than that. But as far as Arch, no, I mean, he came in there and he did exactly what he did. I thought Sark ran some good plays for him and he got it in his playmaker's hands. And that's all that you really can ask the kid to do. Didn't seem like it really got that stagnant, but I know they definitely kind of took they put brakes on the offense basically. So I
Mm-hmm.
think they just kind of like, hey, let's just get out of here, right? This next game against Louisiana Monroe
Yeah.
should be no different. What's that, a night game?
Yeah, it's a night game, like 7:30, I think.
Yeah, it should be a
Y'all gonna kick their teeth in.
yeah, you should guys should kick their teeth in. I think the thing that you just want to see is just no injuries and just him go out there and just run the offense, have a good command of the offense. I think that's really what you're trying to do. But we talked about this a while ago. Is Quinn playing good football right now? As one of Quinn's biggest haters, I would say yes, he's playing good football. But like I've told you guys, I don't know what it is about Quinn. I don't think and that's going to be the question going into the draft. I know he's probably
Mm-hmm.
mocked high and all the rest of that stuff, but I mean, can the guy stay
Can you say?
healthy? Yeah.
Yes.
Can he stay healthy? And like I told you guys a few weeks ago, I'm not taking anything away from him, Nick. I'm not trying to be mean or be crazy or talk noise like I usually would. All I'm saying is, and I don't even think it happened on a play that where he was moving outside of the pocket or trying to run or whatnot. But I'm just saying there's some tendencies in there that he has to correct. And I'm not talking about just to win a championship or to win a game. I'm talking about to prolong his career because he just has a tendency to get hurt and or maybe have a turnover or two in there that you're just like, come on, Quinn, like you can't do that. But I
Yeah.
think I think the arch hype needs to I think let's slow down a bit, not necessarily because the kid is not talented or he can't go in there and beat teams or whatever the case may be, but I think Quinn is for right now, for what I've seen from Quinn is the obvious number one. And with his control of that offense and knowing Sark, I think he still gives you guys the best shot to go above and beyond where you guys want to be at.
Yeah, exactly, man. Look, I don't know what it is. Is it Quinn not hitting the weights the way he should? Is it just Quinn having a bad, just string of injuries? What is it? Because this is a great comment from Davey Fockett. He goes, Quinn's going to get hit by bigger athletes. And, yes, when he goes to the NFL next year, he's going to get hit by bigger guys, right?
And
So, how
I
does
mean,
this
Dallas
guide
is
it?
an NFL guy, and that
Yeah,
hit. I know that a
was
lot
a
of people
normal
were like,
NFL hit. That's a
yeah.
normal hit.
I know people said it was dirty, but I was like, "God, that's football."
That
But
that's
I'm
that's a
just
normal
saying,
hit.
if he's going to, and let's just be realistic right now, as far as what Mel Kiper and McShay and all of them have on their big boards,
Top five
he's
picks.
probably going to a terrible team that's not going to have a good O line.
Yeah, they're
Let's just be
giants.
real. Yeah, and some of the guys that we've seen. And some of the guys that we've seen, and Ty, I hate to bring this up, but we've seen some guys with high
Bryce,
IQs or guys
yeah,
that are. But I said it's on two fronts. First off, a good portion of the quarterbacks that we've seen are somewhat decently mobile and can take a hit. But on the other side, we've seen some high IQ quarterbacks like Bryce Young go in there behind terrible old lines and not have it. Hell, Ty, I'm not even going to crap on you because you can always throw Sam Bradford in my face because
No,
as
no,
bad
but
as some
you're right.
yeah,
You're
as bad
right.
Yeah,
as some people, well, I gotta get this out. As bad as some people want to say that Sam Bradford was, I say, did Jeff Fisher ever surround him with any talent in the O line that would keep him upright? That was all. That's all I'm asking. But Quinn has to understand that those are going to be some of the situations he goes to, unless he magically slips. Which, if he slipped down to the 20s, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing for him to
that
go
might
to a
be Chris.
place.
I'm with you. That might be the best thing for him. Look, I hate to say it like this because it's going to sound bad, but him being injury prone is an opportunity for him to slip. Because if I'm a top team, I'm not
That's true.
taking an opportunity to get a guy in the first round of top in the top 5 to 7 picks if he's injury prone at the quarterback position.
Yeah,
Let's say if a guy like Quinn slips to the Steelers, who were picking 17 or 18 for 19 from the draft, hell of an organization to go to. Let's say if he slips to a team like the Dolphins that has all that talent there,
Oh my
and
God.
yeah, so that might be a more ideal situation for him to slip,
yeah.
right? Like even the guy like Bradford back in the day, man, Sam Bradford, he ever had a healthy team, we never got to see the best of him in the NFL.
We saw spurts in games, and
Yeah,
don't get
but
me wrong,
never the
there
best.
was some bad mixed in there too. But like I said, those guys are going to terrible teams that have terrible, or at least teams that have terrible O lines.
Yeah.
So
Well, then the other part of this too, right? Like just taking out focusing on this draft conversation. This is the unfortunate reality about the NFL draft that I know the viewers of this show, this what I'm saying is not for people watching. This is one of the beautiful things about this show is we really don't script anything out. So this is mainly just us three having a conversation
Yeah.
as we would on the phone, right? So this comment isn't for the viewers because y'all know this, but the draft is about devaluing these players. And
Hmm.
as messed up as that is to say, why is it that every draft, without fail, it's the night before or 2 days before the first round? Oh, so and so has this in his past, and it's going to drop him out
Laramie
because
Tonsil.
these teams leak information so that they can get a player where they would be paying him $30 million, and we've seen as time goes on more and more of that money is being guaranteed now as these
Oh,
agents are negotiating. Why would I want to pay $30 million when I could devalue this player and pay
15.
15 $10 million?
Yeah.
It's a business, and it is messed up to say. I'm not saying I like it, but I'm saying that's the unfortunate reality, and that will be the question with Quinn is health. But the reason why it upsets me so much that he got injured is because everything I've been asking of Quinn for the
He
past 2 years, this is the year where I'm like, holy cow, this is the Quinn that I thought we would be getting. And not that whenever I say this, people think that I'm saying he hasn't been good. He's been a really, really, really good quarterback. But I know there's a difference between Quinn being a really good quarterback and Quinn being an exceptional quarterback. And it's early, but it looks like he's hit that next level this year. And that's why I was so upset to see him go down with an injury.
Yeah, man, exactly. So, look, man, Texas played, Texas San Antonio. It was a blowout win. Yes, Arch Manning came in. We'll see what happens next week. I think the real test is, well, I won't say test. If Arch plays against Mississippi State, it'd be better competition that he'll be playing against if he is indeed playing in that game. But I want to get to the next subject, man. I want to talk about Georgia. And I want to talk about is this the point in the season, or is this a point where we got to start worrying about Georgia? Is Georgia showing something that Georgia fans should be concerned about?
Ty, can I take this first?
Yeah, Chris,
Please,
go ahead,
please,
brother.
by all means.
Okay. Coming into the season now, we didn't get necessarily talk about it again, but I will say it yet again. Pre Kentucky. I'll say that again. Ty Hayes, Alabama's the right now to me out of those two teams is the better
Yeah,
team. Is the better team. I think that the thing that scares me about Bama sometimes is that sometimes it feels like it takes them a second to get that engine running, but
That's fair.
when they do get that engine running, it's a hard train to stop, right? So, as far as Georgia, I will say this to you guys: nothing changes the way that I feel about them. This is Kirby Smart football. And what I'm telling you guys is this right here is that they're going to play a lot of defensive games. As you like to use the term, maybe not about the position, but the term, Nick, I keep telling you, transcend it. You do not lose a guy like Brock Bowers and then bounce back. I kept telling you guys, they have 5 stars and guys who can play the tight end position. Not like that. Also, wide receiver wise, different things like that. They have the guys, they have the quarterback. It's just I'm not necessarily a fan of Bobo, right? But defensively, they're still elite. They're still doing elite things. They're still characteristically them. However, the thing that changes my opinion the most about, if anything changes my opinion about Georgia, it's simply this: their schedule. Their schedule is
Not
way.
easy.
It's
It's
not
tough.
the same SEC
Leap.
least schedule that they've had. That schedule changes everything for me, folks, because they have some games that are not necessarily gimmies. Usually we would say, okay, they can sleepwalk through this or whatever the case may be, and they'll go out there and kill Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is going to slow the game down and make this a possession by possession game. Not necessarily saying they're going to win. I know that's the last game of the season, but this schedule that they have is not necessarily dicey. It's not necessarily exciting. It's not the sexiest schedule, but there are some games on there that do give you caution. And the way that they look offensively right now, as far as trying to find themselves, you're saying, okay, well, if they ran up against Texas or possibly a Tennessee, you're saying they probably get beat right now, right? Because those are probably their 2 toughest games remaining on their schedule outside of
Bama.
Bama, obviously.
And Ole
My fault, I forgot
Miss.
about that. And I forgot about
Oh,
Ole
oh,
Miss.
I forgot about Ole Miss too,
You
So
man.
got
they have
yeah.
4 games that you're sitting there right now. A lot of people are probably saying it's kind of toss up, but they're still playing good ball. But I kept trying to say, and hey, look, I point the finger, the thumb points back at me, but offensively, they don't look the same. They look like they have some guys, but I feel like losing Bowers, obviously, not necessarily the running backs. I feel like their running game is still good, but losing Bowers and then I think Ra Thomas was a big blow as well. I mean, he was probably going to be their one this year, don't you guys think? Ty, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, their other wide receivers have not panned out in the way that I thought. I thought
Same here.
Lovett would be a bit more of an impact. I really thought Arian Smith would be having a bigger year right now. He's
Yeah,
just shy of 150. Lovett's just over 150.
Yeah,
Delp has not been involved in the way I thought. They've only got Oscar Delp the ball 3 times.
I know that's alarming to me. That's very alarming. Now, Ty, so one thing that I kind of want to piggyback on this. Georgia, when they go to Kentucky over the last like 2 times, right? So in
Steven was
2022,
right about this, by the way. We were all
yeah,
wrong,
he
and
was he
Steven
was
was right.
so right. He called this on the head. But 2022, they beat him 16-6 at Kentucky. 2020, they won 14-3. I don't know if it's something about going to Kentucky that gets them, but they've had tough games going to Kentucky and playing. Now, when they get them at home, they blow them out. Like, what was it, 50-13 last year or something like that? They always blow them out like at home. But Stoops playing at Kentucky against Georgia is always a tough out for Georgia, and I just don't know what it is. Is it the bad juju? Is it what? But Kirby always has a problem there.
Yeah, and listen, Kentucky is one of those teams, and RJ, a friend of the show, someone who's been on the show a lot, played football in the SEC and in the ACC and in the NFL, and then has helped coach kids all across the nation and getting them offers. I mean, he has kids at Colorado, at Kentucky, at Florida. So he has been a great asset and friend to the show. And one of the things he was telling us is he's like, hey, there are certain teams in the SEC that people will laugh at, right? Because they're like, oh, that's not a very good team. He's like, but what they do, it's not that they win games, but they just punch you in the mouth and you leave that game banged up, like bumped, bruised, and they just make it ugly. And Kentucky is that team. It's not that they're the team you circle and you're like, that's who's going to beat us.
Yeah,
But you circle them and say, okay, we have a legitimate like knife fight that's about to happen in here, and we know we're going to get shanked a few times, but it's all about like mitigating the loss. In terms of should Georgia be concerned, I know Bama fans aren't going to like this. I don't think so. Nick, you said it. They always play Kentucky close. Now, that was a little bit of an exception, and I still think that even though if I was a Georgia fan, I wouldn't be concerned, your offense is not what it was. Not with Monken, not with Bowers, and the white wide receiver they had who was
Lad
Lad
McConkey.
McConkey. Yeah, Slotty
man.
Pippen. That kid was a beast.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't
so
have your go-to and your safety valve. Like that's hard. And Ty, just to cut in just to what you said, this is what I was saying before this season started. Do we see Kirby Smart with Jake Fromm era, or do we see Kirby Smart with this explosive offense that he's had for years? And I think that he's going to play it.
I don't know
He's
that they've ever been just like super explosive, but what it
no,
is they've just had, like you said, transcendent players who could make an explosive play. I've always said Georgia's offense is assembly line offense.
yeah,
Yeah.
You both are going to love this, and being a Bama fan, ever since Lane and Sark changed that offense in 2015 the way they did, we can all relate to this. The viewers can relate to this. Sark is a maestro at offense. I mean, I've said this before. When Sark is in his bag, to me, it's like watching Picasso paint. Chris, I mean, y'all could write a thesis on offensive football. Kalen DeBoer, offensive guy. It's the type of offenses where in any play, you could take it to the house. Georgia isn't concerned about that. They're concerned about that first down. And so if they can get 3.5 yards a pop, they're going to get 3.5 yards a pop, and they're not going to care because their theory is like, oh, I'm just worried about the first down, and then we'll score. They constrict you. And so I do agree with you, Chris. I think their running backs are still really good, especially if they get them back healthy for Bama, because Bama's defense has been more impressive than I think a lot of people have given credit for, given that they lost Saban. There's two areas where Bama's defense has got to get it together. Outside runs, which I wasn't concerned about at USF because of that zone read that they do with such a veteran quarterback there. And that scheme, I was like, okay, that was them. But then Wisconsin had a bit more success than I would have liked on the outside. It's Wisconsin. They always keep some talented running backs. They don't have a running back on that roster that I fear, like I fear Nate Frazier or Branson Robinson
Yeah.
or like any of
Etienne.
those guys, right? You let them get to the outside and you're having a problem. They've got to fix that. They've got to fix Georgia attacking them over the middle. But Georgia defensively, it's still Georgia, right? I know that they don't have those 2020 guys, 2021, 2022 defensive linemen, but damn it, they still have Kirby. And I'm never going to say like, oh, a team with Kirby Smart should be concerned until I see them being put in the dirt, right? And then they're done. Until then, I have respect for Georgia. I mean,
you
it is what it
Yeah.
is.
you sit there and still go back to that game, and you say Mark Stoops made some bonehead decisions down the stretch. He should have never punted that ball.
Yeah,
Uh,
that got me too.
that
Yeah.
If you believe in your defense,
Yeah.
then you believe in them
Say it
to
with your
make
chest,
the
man.
stop after you don't get the first down.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I
You hit
was
the
I
nail
was
on the
shocked
head
by
there,
that too,
Chris.
Chris. I was
Yeah,
shocked by that too, man.
he should have never punted that ball. They were in prime position because has Brock Vandergrift looked perfect? No, but he looked good enough to win that game
He
that
did.
night. He played his heart out that game. Hey Ty, real quick on Bama, do you think that game would have been a little bit different if Van Dyke never got hurt? Because I mean he came out there that first drive and he was moving the ball. I mean it was decent.
No, I don't believe so. You want to know why? Two reasons. Everything that he was getting, wasn't he 5 for 5 for 13 yards?
Yeah,
So
It
like
was dink and dunks.
yeah,
they were telling him, okay, if you want to give it here, we'll just come up and wrap. He had the one long run that was like, I was like, oh, okay, Van Dyke, good for you. Unfortunately, he got hurt there. But if you listen into Wisconsin people, that kid that ended up playing for Van Dyke once he got hurt, there were a lot of Wisconsin people that were shocked whenever he didn't win the starting job. So the only thing Van Dyke had over him was experience. And
Yeah.
believe you me, I'm not going to discount experience when you're playing a game like Bama. That is something, and maybe it would have been 13-42, but like
I just wanted to know. I don't want to
it
get
could
killed
have
or
been.
nothing
I
like
won't I
that.
won't discount it, but
Yeah.
I will say that that guy Locke took Van Dyke to the wire in winning that game. So it wouldn't have been an upset, but it could
Yeah.
have been a different game. Listen, you change one thing in a game, and then everything thereafter has to change because a variable has changed. So yeah, Bama still would have killed them,
Uh,
but it could have been different.
Yeah, it would
I'm
have
just
been.
happy that Dominique Jackson is actually down there at Bama and looks like he's thriving. Still looks like at time he's trying to figure things out. That's understandable because of coming from Grinch's system to actually,
That dude has been shut down, bro. They don't
yeah,
test Damani, and I don't mean to derail us. Against Western Kentucky, there was a play, and I know it's Western Kentucky. I get
yeah.
it. Throw tomatoes at me. I don't care. But I was giggling on the couch because he was in press coverage. The receiver goes to release, and Damani jams him into the next universe. And the guy did fight through it, and Damani went to jam again, missed. And the guy thought, like, oh, I've just got open. And Damani's literally
Had to catch
shuffling
us.
sideways,
But
running with him down the field because he runs a 10-2 100-meter dash. And
Crazy.
I laughed
to,
so
to,
hard at that.
to all the parents out there, to all any recruits that watch this or watch any of these channels on here, guys, please let this be a lesson to you. Don't go hang out with the homies. Make a business decision. Go make
Facts,
that
though.
money, man.
Facts, though.
Don't go hang out with the homies, man. Like go make your money. Cause to be honest with you, Dominique Jackson, what is he a junior this year or is he a senior?
He's a red shirt junior, so I mean he is.
Exactly.
Technically, yeah.
And
No, he's a
imagine if
red
he
shirt
had two
sophomore.
years
I'm
with
sorry.
Saban, he
I'm
would
He's
have
red
been
sorry.
shirt
gone.
sophomore, so they got two
He
more
would have been
years.
gone. If he would
Oh
have had
yeah.
if we had 2 years with Saban, he would have been gone.
Yeah,
I
yeah, he been in the
promise.
league right now, making millions. But honestly, just get back on Georgia for a quick second. Does Georgia have the right quarterback? You know
Yeah,
what
I
I'm saying?
don't know who else they would use.
No. But I'm just saying, is Carson Beck that guy?
I always liked Gunnar Stockton because I thought he had heart, but
Yeah, I've
the
never
the
thought Carson Beck was that guy when he
the
got. I just never
problem.
thought he was.
No, I think Carson Beck is okay. I think that the top 10
That's
hype that he was getting for the draft was a little bit
yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes. This
That's
is
my
it.
thing, Chris. He's okay. All right.
He's nice, but
He
he's not transcendent,
he's
right?
nothing. Yeah, he's nothing that is going to set the world on fire. Just in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. And so Georgia has weapons. People are acting like Georgia don't have weapons. Like there are a lot of teams that would love to have the wide receivers and Oscar Delp and the line that Georgia has right now, and they will be doing things way better than what Georgia's doing right now, right?
Yeah.
I've never saw the hype in Carson Beck. That's just me.
This is what kills me about the damn offense for Georgia. Is this right here? And Ty will tell you. Most, if not, if you put Lad McConkey away, which I know that he can run, most of these damn wide receivers that Georgia have are like track stars. Like they are fast, like stupid fast.
Yeah.
I mean, what did was that Marshawn Lynch or who was that who said it? He said, "How fast are you? Stupid fast." Yeah, stupid fast. But they don't. It's like they're never a factor in there. Every time I watch Georgia, I say the same thing. Every time I see them, I say, "Hey, Evans, you should have just came to Oklahoma. You can return kicks there too." I mean, no, not like they using you. What are you doing?
This is a funny comment here, my Friday Truth, because Kirby makes his money throwing good QBs away.
He does.
Justin Fields should never been in Ohio State.
The day they get like a quarterback. Well, I mean, then quarterbacks. I'm not saying that big name quarterbacks won't ever go there, but why would a big, and this is going to sound blasphemous, right? Because Georgia has done such a good job developing, and I certainly don't take that away from them. They are with Saban gone, but why would a quarterback, Key Russ? Let me just use Key Russ, KJ Lacey for a second.
I got one for you. Go ahead. I got one for you.
But why would they go to get taught by Bobo and Georgia whenever Sark is in Austin, whenever DeBoer is in Tuscaloosa, whenever there's like
Lincoln
Lincoln
Riley,
in
yeah.
and you got quarterback whisperers out here. And so it's like Sam, good one. Arch chose Texas over Georgia and Bama, in fairness, right? Bama was in that fight as well. They wanted Arch as well.
Yeah. Oh,
So it's one of those where it's like, why? All due respect, but if you're a quarterback, why would I go to Georgia over Texas,
but
Bama, USC, and just to name a few, Oklahoma? I
Well,
mean,
hey,
y'all get Jackson Arnold, right? You're just continuing the streak.
yeah,
Nick, can
hey,
I? Oh,
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead, Nick. You go ahead. You go
Hey,
ahead.
Ty. So Kirby right now reminds me of Saban pre-Lane Kiffin,
Mm.
where Saban couldn't get a quarterback to save his life, like an explosive quarterback. You think about it: AJ McCarron, McElroy, Sims, Coker. When he started to get Lane Kiffin coming there, and then you started to see
Well, Coker was with. I think Coker was with.
Lane.
I think
Coker was
so.
at
Yeah,
Lane for that first one, right?
2017.
But once Lane got established in there, and you started to see Jalen Hurts come, and then Tua, and then Mac Jones just waited his turn, and then you got Sark and you got Bryce. That's when you started to see like those explosive quarterbacks come in. I used to tell my wife at the time, I said, "Could you imagine Alabama if they had Cam Newton for that 1 year? Like we've never seen Nick Saban with a quarterback that was all world. We've never seen it happen at Bama. And then when Lane got there, we started to see quarterbacks that could, no kidding, make plays
Yeah.
and really, really count on that
Tua
quarterback
in
to
college was just a
he
different
was
type
he
of
was a
monster.
different animal. I think Kirby's going through that same stage right now where he's hanging his head in his defense and he's not going out and getting the correct offensive coordinator so that he can come in and bring in a great quarterback.
It's Kirby ball. I keep telling you
Yeah.
guys that. Listen to this. Check this out. Before the season started, my aunt called me. He said, "Hey nephew, I got this. I gotta get this off my chest." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I don't think Carson Beck finishes the season as the starting quarterback." I said, "Why you think that?" He says, "I think Jalen Rashada is going to be the guy there." Me and him argued for about 30 minutes. Why did we argue? Because I told him, I said, "Hey, that's logical." But no, but as I used to say, Ty, you remember I used to say this? Kirby's a lot of things, but he's not that smart. Okay, his name is Kirby Smart, but he's not that smart. I used to say that all the time on Ty's show. This is what you got to understand. I don't know what goes through Kirby's mind, but when he has talent on his sideline, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to foster this. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to do this." I'm like, "Dude, you got to let guys play." But as far as what Carson Beck was quoted as, or no, excuse me, noted as coming into the season, no, he's not a top 10 guy. Never been a top 10 guy.
Well,
No.
I think he's more talented than Stetson Bennett. I think he has the intangibles, the size, all the rest of that. But he just, I don't know.
I think he's more talented, but Stetson would take off like he would take off on the plug,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes. He would take over a game when he had to also. You know what I'm
like
saying?
I hated that little dude, right? But like
Yeah.
he had some. Okay, I hate to use this word, but any of the if you're in here and you're younger than me already, congratulations, right? But to quote the TikTok generation, Stetson had an aura about him, right? Milrow has an aura about him. I can go on to these quarterbacks that haven't. I don't know as good. The only area where you and I disagree, Nick, is I probably think Beck is a bit better than you do,
Yeah.
but I don't see him have that same aura as some of these other top. Shadur has an aura,
Yeah.
right? Quinn
Yeah.
when Quinn has an aura.
No,
Jalen
no,
Milrow.
Ty, you got to say it. Say he doesn't move the what?
He doesn't
Needle
move the needle.
at all.
Ty, you got to put that on a shirt, bro.
Hey,
He
Ty,
doesn't move the
Ty,
needle.
when you have a great starting quarterback, no matter how good or bad your team is, like I was trying to tell my wife this other day, I said, when that quarterback steps in the room, everybody turns their head to him.
Mm.
Right? I mean, everybody knows that guy's in the room. You know what I'm saying? Does Carson Beck do that? Does he do that? When Jalen Hurts stepped in the room at Bama as a true freshman, He was playing scout team. Derrick Henry and them were already saying this kid is next. He should be in high school right now. This kid's next. They were screaming it already. You know, partially because he was great in the field, but also he carried himself as that guy. You knew when Tua was in there, like when he stepped into a room, you turned your head. That's Tua, right? Like all the OU guys. When Kyler Murray steps in the room, that's
Oh
Kyler.
God, yeah.
You know what I'm
Baker.
saying? Baker.
Baker.
That's Baker, right? So
Cat was different.
it's different. Does Carson Beck, like Chris say, like Ty says, does he move the needle? When he steps in the room, is he another guy, or is he a guy that everybody turns their head to and says, that's my guy? And I don't know if that's true yet.
Okay, here's the litmus test. Here's the test right here. Okay. If you switched him out with Haynes King down there at Georgia Tech, are we getting the same result?
I think worse.
Yeah,
I
Haynes
think.
can't
I
throw
think.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, give me another quarterback that you think would be comparable.
Brady. What? Okay.
Cook from Missouri.
Brady Cook.
Brady Cook.
Yeah, I think get the same results.
Did you get the same results?
I think so. Very similar.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I'll tell you this: if you put Jackson
Ty.
Dart in that,
Ty, I got you. Put Nussmeier there. To me, I think he might have the same.
That's
result.
a great comp. That's a good one. I think that's how you judge that. Is who would you if you put DJU there, do we get a difference?
Stop it.
It's like DJ, you need to get
up. All right, man.
Ty is like, nah, I'm not doing that. Not doing that. You go low, I don't go lower, Chris.
Yeah, but I think if you put Nussmeier in the Georgia offense, I think you get similar results. And I like Nuss. Ty loves Nuss. I think Nuss is great.
I do.
Look, I don't want to say great. I think he's a damn good quarterback.
I think he has a great ceiling.
Great ceiling.
Whether he hits that, I don't know. And Freelance, if I could answer this, I do think DG moved the needle for OU because it wasn't the same OU. Like Lincoln gutted that program. He didn't recruit it adequately, right? And this is, I'm not going to go into the spiel, but
go ahead.
There's a difference between getting, you're going to love this, right? Because every time I do this, they're like, oh, well, Texas always recruited like top athletes. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a difference in recruiting a cohesive recruiting class and recruiting a bunch of talented guys. Sark gets cohesive recruiting classes. Brent Venables gets cohesive recruiting classes. Lincoln never did. Like Lincoln would get really nice recruiting classes, but you'd look and it'd be 16, 17 different people, and the average recruit rank would be through the roof. But you're like, man, this is a phenomenal base. Let's build upon it.
Yeah.
Brent has like blown expectations out the water in that regard. And I say Brent, obviously Sark as well, but the only reason I say Brent is because this is his first stint as a head coach. Yeah, and that's where I was like, holy hell, man, this guy's killing it on the trail.
Gotcha. Hey, man, let's go to another topic, man. We talked about them way too long. Let's talk about I want to talk
I can
about
do this
Florida.
One in
go ahead,
one word. No.
I'm
done.
Does Florida win 4 games?
No. Next.
Chris, what do you think?
If Lagway is the star. I hope y'all saw my tweet. I just said it. I was like, look, I tried to take up for you, Billy. I tried to take up for you, Florida. Yeah, I want to go back to Graham Mertz. And I'm like, DJ, I don't care if it is Stanford. DJ put up 456 yards.
I know. You got to play him. But
the fact of the matter, you want to go back to them? If I wish Steven was on here so I could tell him, Steven, go ahead. Do what you want to do. I'm done. I'm tired. I can't do that anymore.
Look here, man. Look here. My only pushback on that, Chris, and I said this last week to you. Do you want to put Lagway in that situation right now? He is doomed to fail right now.
I'm trying. Look, I got it. One, I got to see if the money, if he's worth the money.
Well,
2, he's my best chance and my only chance of winning. I need something dynamic back there to help me.
Florida, he might be your best chance of winning, but with the way that team is constructed, they're not going to.
They don't look athletic.
Yeah, which is so weird to say about Florida.
And that's what I was about to get to. This is something that I do not understand. Now, obviously Mullen had a year where he had some good wide receivers, and obviously Flood kid or whatever at tight end. But how many years? I want to see them put consistent classes back where you're saying, hey, Florida has good wide receivers. You don't really hear about named wide receivers down there. You hear about, I mean, some
It's
of
because
these
they
guys,
leave.
yeah, like they're
Yeah,
They're at
four
years
Ohio
stars.
past.
State. They're
They
at
just,
Bama. They're at Texas. Like they're
They're in
leaving.
and
Miami. They're,
that's something that is so weird about Florida is that a lot of their like when you watch Florida, you never it's hardly ever like once every blue moon you get on there and you say, hey, I know who that wideout is. I know who that guy is. They don't have a guy. They always have Jags there at wide receiver and it
yeah.
kills them.
What like honestly, last year they had who was the big wide receiver there last
Ricky
year?
Pearsall.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
Pearsall. You know what I'm saying, for the 49ers. Chris, you see what I'm saying?
Slot guy, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, but
yeah.
he was Mr. Do It All
Yeah,
there.
I mean, he was good. I mean, he was good, but I'm used to when I'm talking about Florida wide receivers, I'm used to
Kadarius
saying,
Toney was the last one, in my
yeah,
opinion. It was
yeah.
like
Yes, he was the last one. But Florida wide receivers, like the standard is Percy Harvin. Like that's who he like that's a Florida wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
and I
I
know he's
always
one of
thought that
one,
I
you
always
know?
thought that what was that kid who he committed to Florida and his mom walked off, Jacob some
Copeland.
Yeah.
Jacob Copeland. I always thought he was the next great, but I should have remembered they don't have the staff there that's going to get him where he
Yeah. They couldn't
needed to
develop
be.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NFL talent. He's a fringe NFL player, but they just didn't really have they didn't develop.
Now, so look, man, Florida's not going to win 4 games this year. It is what it is. Billy Napier's going to get fired here probably about week 8.
He's cooked.
Yeah, he's cooked. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, the game that they had with Texas A&M. Did Texas A&M just kind of look up and find their starting quarterback?
Can like yeah we. I
Didn't
have a
he play
different
last year?
question. I have a
Yeah.
different question that I want y'all to discuss.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Go ahead.
Everybody's talking about Lane Kiffin and would he go to Florida?
Why?
That was my thing. And let me be honest. Ole Miss doesn't have the brand capital that Florida does. I grant you that. One of them is being sued for NIL and the other isn't. They just ponied up, they being Ole Miss, and pulled an incredible class in the portal, and their NIL is bumping. Meanwhile, Florida's getting sued by Jaden Rashada. So, like, why is my question? And everybody seems like, oh, yeah, he'd easily go. And I'm like, why?
Let me say this right here.
Go ahead.
Brand. You got
That's true. I agree with
Lagway there. You have that recruiting hotbed of talent. You have all of that there. All that to say, Nick, who do you think I want to be the coach then?
Where? At
In
Florida?
Florida.
Who you want to be the coach
I
at?
said I just named all that stuff. I said I just named the guy. Who do I want to be there?
Lane?
Not so fast, my friend. James Franklin. I keep hearing that name is hot on the trail down there.
Are you
in
serious?
Florida. I want that to happen because I want to see the downfall of Florida. I
No,
want to go
don't
up in
say that. Hey,
You
no.
know who would like someone, and I forget who it was, but I think it was Carl Reed. So this wasn't me, but he was saying for Florida, Marcus Freeman could be an interesting name because of the way he builds culture. And at Notre Dame, like he recruits well, but it's Notre Dame, so like they're one of the few colleges. Whenever they say like, "Oh, well, we have an academic standard that you have to pass," they're like one of one, where they actually have an academic
Notre
standard.
Dame.
You have to.
I can't give him that. When you get beat by Northern Illinois in your second or third
No,
year
I don't
coaching
disagree. I don't
with a
disagree.
top
No,
10 team.
that
Here's a
wasn't for
hot
me. But I
take.
was like, that's an interesting name because that's not a name anybody else would throw out, right?
Here's a-
Like why
here-
Freeman?
Here's a
I was
hot
just giving
take.
his reasons.
Here's a hot take. And Ty, please, I hope that you disagree with me on this because that'll make me think twice. Because of what you just said, and I've always said this in the back of my mind, I've never said this on screen or anywhere else. I think Notre Dame should always be looked at, especially in this climate. Now, people, y'all can call me crazy, stupid, dumb, whatever. I'm sure y'all already do that. Notre Dame should be looked at as a stepping stone job because it is incredibly hard to field A team
I
full of Kyle
disagree.
Hamiltons.
Oh.
It's I get the brand, I get all the everything, the history, but
But I'm with you, Chris.
when you look at it, it's hard to bring in what Brian Kelly is bringing in right now. And that to me, that's the reason why I always thought, okay, Brian Kelly should succeed. Now it's been up and down from time to time, 93 seasons, 10 win seasons, that's good, but it's dusty at times because of Brian Kelly doing Brian Kelly things. But regardless, Brian Kelly has never possessed the type of talent he's had here. Has he had NFL talent? Hell yes.
Yeah.
But it's hard to field a team full of Kyle Hamilton like players on defense at Notre Dame because of these academic standards. So I'm saying in modern day era, they should be looked at such, or at least looked at, with a hard
Hey, Chris.
a hard scope, man.
Hey, Chris. Hot take from me. Notre Dame is a shinier version of Stanford in today's college football climate.
Yeah, they're a better Stanford.
Yeah,
they're
that's true.
That's what it is. And then also with Notre Dame not committing to a conference, that's hurting them too as well, because they literally have to go undefeated every year or just lose one game. They don't have a conference championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it is hard to field just a great team based on their standards.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have a conference, and kids didn't grow up in the 90s and 2000s wanting to wear that gold helmet. That aura, like Todd was saying earlier, is not there for Notre Dame anymore. It's just not. Nobody cares about the gold flakes in the helmet. Nobody cares about that.
Nobody cares about touchdown Jesus.
Yeah, I want to go play in a place where I'm not going to freeze my butt off, and the NIL is going to be great. Okay?
I like Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman is a good coach. I just think that Notre Dame at times it can hold you back. Like, I mean, you would say the equivalent of some of the other teams with hefty academic standards, but to me, I mean, hell, if you go to Vandy and you can get them bowl eligible, you need to get out of there. You probably need to go take a step up. If you go to Stanford and you get them not only bowl eligible, but you're playing in a big time bowl game or fringe playoff team or whatever the case may be, you're probably in the same position as like a David Shaw. But to consistently get guys who can meet those academic levels or whatnot, that is tough. That is extremely difficult.
They're like one of three programs, because I know a bunch of teams out there will say like, oh, well, we actually have academic standards, and that's why we
Notre Dame really has academic standards.
And my thing is always like, so why are you offering the same, why are you offering the same guy that Bama is, right? Like, you got academic standards, my ass. But Notre Dame,
yeah,
they do.
They got standards, man.
I was like, are you serious?
No, but hey, look, Steve Houston, perfect comment. If Notre Dame wants to get serious, they'll join the Big Ten. And it's the perfect climate for them. They can compete with teams like, Michigan has high academic standards too as well. Like, they got high academic standards, right? But you're going to guarantee that your kids are going to play a really good schedule every year. You can circle on that list that you're going to play USC. You're going to play, Ohio State. You're going to play Michigan. You're going to play UCLA and Oregon. You can circle that on your kid's calendar every year, so that they're going to play the best competition and have opportunity to go to the playoffs.
Boomer, the answer is yes.
John,
with Notre Dame, the answer is yes. Surprisingly,
John,
what do you say?
John Wayne, and the answer to yours is simply this right here. If was a fifth, we all would be drunk. Because I'm trying to tell you, we sat here on this panel and we all said, "Hey, love that Marcus Freeman went out there and got that win against Texas A&M. That was a big win for him. That was a big moment for him.
Fool's gold.
On the
Don't
road.
go and do the Notre Dame thing, which is play Ohio State tough or go beat a really good team the first week. Then second game of the week, you go lose to Marshall or Mississippi Mass Choir, right? Don't go do that.
And that's what happened. But hey,
you lost to the School of the Blind and Visually Disabled.
That's jacked up. But getting back to Stephen Houston's comment about Lane Kiffin, man, I'm gonna get back to Lane real quick. So Ole Miss is good because of of Lane, but there is a ceiling there that you don't have at Florida. You can do it all at Florida. They've done it with multiple coaches. And I want to say this about Lane Kiffin. This is why I don't think Lane's going to leave Ole Miss. Because if Lane goes to Florida, he is going to be expected to win and win every year. Lane is in the perfect position, in the perfect job, because he's not expected to win every year.
That's
Right? And
that's a good point.
and I think like Mr. Jody Freshwater, right? That's his name, right? I think he
Joey
is fine.
Freshwater.
I think Lane is fine with having a good team every 3 years, enjoying his job without all the pressure, right? He's seen what Nick Saban's had to endure 17 years at Alabama, him being his assistant for some time. He's seen what Pete Carroll had to do at USC. Hell, Lane had it at Tennessee. He had it for the 1 year where he got the team ramped up, and he left to go to USC, and then he got the pressure again at USC, right? And then goes to the NFL, like with the Raiders, has the pressure of a real NFL team. And now he's at a school where he's not expected to be a top 5 program every year, but he is expected to compete every 3 or 4 years. They got a good team now through NIL, but Lane can be Lane and not have all the pressure. And that's why I don't think he takes Florida. That's just my 2 cents on
Well,
that.
also their AD is dog water.
He is. But hey, man, let's do the last topic. What a game, man. LSU versus South Carolina. All right,
Find the refs. I mean, thank you, refs, because we ended up getting it right on Bleacher Report because of your ineptitude. But at the same time, find them. And wasn't it? It's bad. It was that same crew for Alabama versus Tennessee a few years ago that forgot what down it was and gave Tennessee 5 downs. It's the same crew. It's the same crew. They are abysmal.
Yeah. My only thing I can take from this game is LSU might have found their running back. Caden Durham out of Duncanville High School. If anybody watches high school football, in Texas, Caden Durham out of Duncanville High School was electric in high school. He's short. He's a stocky running back. What he's like 5'9" maybe, but he's a thick running back, man. This kid was powerful. He averaged almost 9 yards to carry during this game. He was electric, a couple touchdowns. I think LSU might have found their running back. He's just different. He looked different when he got in the field than any other running back on the team. And that might be the silver lining in this game, is that they might have their running game. How about you, Chris? What you think, man?
Man, look, I think Caden Durham definitely was a big key to that. He helped sustain some drives and keep the chains moving. I think honestly, when Sellers went out of the game, that was the biggest issue. That LSU defense, and I harken back on what I said initially with the USC. As good as ball as you could say USC is playing right now, no, they had a bye, they've had 2 games or whatever the case may be. You still look at that game kind of with a like, is LSU good, right? Because their defense doesn't look like it's improved. I see Bo Davis doing God's work right now, but he is.
They gave up almost 250 yards rushing, man.
Yeah, they're still talented. They
up the
just,
middle.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
They gave up almost 250 on the ground.
Milroe might have the first 700-yard game on the ground against
Dude,
LSU.
I was seeing Rocket Sanders do his thing. I was like, didn't Rocket come off an injury? I mean, like seeing him do his thing, and he looked slow in that one run where he just broke it. I was like, you can't tell me LSU don't got athletes that can catch rock. I mean, that's
offensively, they are very frustrating as well because as talented as Kyron Lacey is, he makes boneheaded decisions right now. And it's like he's trying to prove a point to the media or whatever the case may be, and which I'm cool with the little bit of the antics and stuff. But hey, let's focus in. Let's try to secure the ball with 2 hands, right? But he needs to. Nussmeyer is going to have to take over a whole bunch of games this year. It's really going to be on him because I think the defense is still trying to find themselves. And for goodness sake, unless you guys heard his name being called a lot, I don't know where Harold Perkins is at.
I don't either.
They have no idea
how to use this kid, which is so sad.
To tank his draft stock compared to what it should be.
That is so sad to see him in that predicament because Harold Perkins is one of the most electric defensive players here in the country
Yep.
that we're not seeing, him actually play it out on the college football field. And he's a first round talent, top
Yeah.
5, top 10 talent, easy, man. But he might slip just because they don't know how to use the guy. But hey, folks, man, look.
WTP. He should have gone to Bama.
Uh,
No. But in all seriousness, WTP, Texas, they'd figure it out. Bama would figure it out. You let Brent
Kirby
Venables,
would figure it out.
Kirby,
Venables
you
would
let Brent
love to have his
Venables,
hands on. Yeah.
you let him get a guy like Harold Perkins. He's gonna figure like this is a disservice in every sense of the word. And you're right, man. I'm just giving you a hard time because I'm a Bama fan in Texas. Y'all got Anthony Hill.
Yeah,
Right.
man. Oh,
And anybody who's watched my channel, you know how high I am on Anthony
man.
Hill.
Could you imagine Harold Perkins and Hill next to each other?
I try not to imagine it. I try to imagine y'all don't have Anthony Hill, but that hasn't worked out for me so well so far.
Hey, man, we got one more topic to talk about. Look, man, 5 minutes to this one. We'll talk about, upcoming game, OU versus Tennessee. Chris had to drop off for his own show here, but this is going to be a very, very interesting game, man. Heupel versus BV. Offensive juggernaut versus defensive juggernaut. Tennessee looks all world. Nico looks like he's just freaking amazing. He's a future first round pick. I think we see it.
Dylan Sampson is a monster as
he's
well.
a monster too as well, man. OU's defense is outstanding. I mean, they look damn good.
Everything that we thought they'd be and more.
My only thing about this game, and I know OU fans are going to get on me, is this game might come to who's going to play better between Nico and Jackson Arnold. And this might be the game where do we see an upgraded Jackson Arnold, from week to week, and maybe he is the best version of himself going against Tennessee? Or does Nico continue to elevate himself into one of the best quarterbacks in the nation already as a true sophomore? I would probably put my money on the latter because Nico has proven it week in and week out, and I don't care who they play. They just look damn good. And Jackson still looks like he has a few things to clean up. I always said that I wished DG probably would have stayed at OU for another year. Jackson sits 1 year, almost like what Arch is doing, at Texas. Because I think Jackson's going to be really good that third year. Like once he's in the system and gets it, because his mechanics and things aren't like Nico's. They just aren't. Nico's a different animal. He is. But Jackson is also a 5-star guy. He's a hell of a quarterback too as well. But Ty, thoughts, man?
I think this game's going to be a lot closer than
it's going to be close.
People think, right? And here's the reason. I went back and I watched the NC State game, and Tennessee did whatever, at the end of the game, they won handily, 51-10. But Nico threw one really bad interception.
Yeah.
And right now, as Nico is my favorite quarterback in that class, I'm never going to shy away from that. But right now, Nico is still very much a young quarterback, which is frightening. That's the frightening thing about this, is that he's still very visibly in the learning stage, which that actually scares me even more than if I was watching and I was like, oh, you're polished. No, I'm more scared that he's I think for OU, the way they play defense, it's already going to be fascinating to watch how Tennessee attacks. I think there's 2 areas that Tennessee is going to look to attack the OU defense. Underneath, right? Everybody's worried about Tennessee going over top, but Venables' defense will inevitably give you the underneath. And he's not the only one that does this. And his thing is like, okay, well, if you want to take 45 plays to march downfield on me, that's fine.
Do it.
Right. Then when we get to the red zone, let's see how this works there. And then he just stonewalls you in the red zone. That's been the Venables mantra forever. Right. And even when I say this is a massive oversimplification because it's still not easy to move the ball on that defense. But I think that the out routes is something they're going to look to do, like the intermediate out routes, the short out routes. But to me, it's more about Sampson. Right? Like if OU stops Sampson from being the guy he's been, it's going to be very interesting. Now, I do have the injury report right here in front of me.
Yeah.
And you have Gentry. Of course, we knew about Farouk and Gibson. Gentry Williams out. Gary and Hatchett out. But you do have questionable as Branson Hickman, Jake Taylor, and probable Nick Anderson, Andrell Anthony. That would be a godsend to Oklahoma.
Yeah, if they
But
get
then
Nick Anderson back, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
oh no, that's great. But then my big question is, even if you get those guys back on the offensive line, have you been able to gel as a unit, as an offensive line in a game setting? It's one thing to do it in practice.
Yep.
It's a different thing to do it in a game. And then this is the other thing. If I'm Tennessee and Purple, you're right. Just give us 2 starting receivers. Nick is a monster. Nick is an absolute monster. But right now, Jackson Arnold has one thing that he's got to work on. He has been a one-read quarterback. You want to go back to that Arizona game? You want to know how 2 of those interceptions happened? He said
Stare
hut.
the guy down.
He looked at the guy, and he just watched him run. He threw the ball, and the safety looked at him and was like, oh, that's where you're going? Sweet. And went and intercepted the ball. Now, that's not worrisome. He's a young quarterback. But I bring that to you because if his first read hasn't been there, he's been bailing out of the pocket, even if it's been a clean pocket, because he is so athletic. Tennessee, I think they're going to try and heat him up so that, okay, my first read's not there. I'm feeling pressure. I'm going to try and float. But I think, I really think we're going to look up in the fourth quarter, and this is going to be a 3-point game, absolute dogfight.
I think it's going to be a dogfight too. My only thing with OU, I thought OU's running game was really going to get it going last week against Tulane. Tulane gave up 250 or 260 against Kansas State. And I was like, OU's going to finally get their footing in the running game. If Jackson Arnold doesn't pop off that one long run, right? He had a 47-yard run, right? Where it just broke down. Like OU's team rushed for about 130 yards between Jackson and the running backs. I think Barnes was the only running back that had a decent game, about 45, 46 yards or so.
Tatum is showing promise too. The only thing
yeah.
he's just young. That's it. He's very talented.
So that's my only thing. OU can't run the ball. And it all starts with the line. It does, but they just can't run the ball. I want to see if that changes against Tennessee. I think Tennessee has better talent than Tulane has. I think Tennessee has better talent than Houston and Temple have. So I don't know if OU is going to be able to run the ball against them. And if they can't and they force Jackson to have to win the game, I think they're going to have to, put up more points than 16 like they had to put up against Houston to win the game. I think they're going to put up more than 34 points. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
I think this is the OU bounce back game, though. I think this
has
is the
to
game
be
where we start to see them look like Oklahoma that we thought they were going to be. Even if they lose this game, which I'm going to, as it sits right now, I would probably take Tennessee between 3 to 7 points.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. I'm saying 6. I'm saying Tennessee by 6, but I wouldn't be shocked if OU won by 13 or 14. I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee won by 13 or 14. That's the crazy part, right?
I see OU having way more success than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
Y'all have to remember, even though I brought to you what Arnold has to work on, I did give you the cap. He's a young quarterback. That's why none of it worries me. That's why if I'm an OU fan, I still believe in the kid because I think he's so talented. I watched him in high school. But I do feel very strongly that this is the game where after this game, OU, even if it's in a losing effort, really starts to become the Oklahoma that everybody expected. And that's why me being a Bama fan, we play OU this season. I would much rather be playing OU right where Tennessee is than when Bama plays Tennessee. I'm jealous about Tennessee right now.
They're going to be a completely different team, at that point. But I don't know, man. It's going to be a very interesting game. I got Tennessee winning the game. I do. I think it's going to be close too.
Every day that's gone by, my score has lessened.
Yeah.
And I'm getting closer to being like, you know what?
It's
I think Oklahoma can take this. Every day that goes by, I move closer to that because I've been watching a lot of film. And OU's defense, I think, is going to do a really good job at stopping a lot of the things Tennessee wants to do.
Yeah. Now, Todd, my only thing about this, too, is if OU's offense can't get it moving,
That's an issue.
that's going to be the issue because I don't care how good your defense is, they're going to get tired.
Well, I mean, you look at Georgia Clemson,
Yeah,
right? I think Clemson's got a
Clemson,
phenomenal defense.
and Clemson hung with him for the first half.
But
They hung with him, but it's only so much you can do if your offense isn't clicking, right? And
yeah, I'm
so,
staring at it right now, Steven.
oh yeah, what's that? The
Injury reports,
yeah,
you got Jaden Gibson out, Farouk out, Gentry Williams out, Hatchett out, Deshaun McCullough doubtful, Cade McIntyre questionable, Branson Hickman questionable, Jake Taylor questionable, Nick Anderson probable, Andrell Anthony probable, Kendall Dolby probable, and Troy Everett probable.
okay.
So I mean that's good, but Branson Hickman is. But yeah, no, I'm just so interested to see. Right, I really wish Oklahoma would have had these guys come back last. I'll put it like
Last
this:
week to get that 1 week of game time underneath their belt and then come in ready to go the next week.
you took it from me. I would
Exactly.
feel totally different from as a Bama fan. I'll give you guys this, so OU fans, you don't hate me. If Caden Proctor hadn't have come back against Wisconsin, and the first game he was coming back was against Georgia, I would not feel as confident, near as confident about
Mhm.
that game being a dogfight, because I'd be like, well, shit, the first game you come back is against Georgia. They're
Yeah.
going to heat you up
Uh,
because you haven't gelled. And even if it's just been one game, even if those guys would have came back for Tulane, and even if the score was the same, I would still probably be inclined to take Oklahoma in this game just because of building those continuities.
yeah. It's
But they
gonna
have
be
Hurd questionable. No, 100%, 100%. But it's here's the thing, Steven. You're right. They have Hurd questionable. But he's been playing,
yeah.
right? Tennessee's offensive line has gelled as a unit. So if he is playing, it's not the lack of continuity that Oklahoma has had. That's really my big worry, is the lack of continuity on the offensive line. That's really my big worry. I'm not really even worried about Nick or Andrell Anthony. Um, they're going to be fine. Jackson Arnold has a rapport with Nick Anderson. I'm not worried about that. It's just that offensive line is a unit that has to gel. I mean, look at last year's Oklahoma offensive line. Started the year a little shaky, but as they continued down, looked great. But every day, Steven, I must admit, I do move closer to OU, taking OU in this game. But right now, I still do have Tennessee.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then also too, let's be honest, Tennessee has been kind of blowing people out the door. They might come and kind of feel themselves a little bit too much.
That's true.
And
And they haven't really gone on the road.
they haven't been tested really, to
They
be
have
honest with
not
you.
faced a defense at
No.
all. I like Tulane better than I like any team. No offense, NC State. I like Tulane better than I like NC State. I'm sorry, I do.
Yeah. And so, look, man, OU's defense is salty. They they're salty.
They're awesome. That is an awesome unit. I don't take anything away from them. They're hyper impressive.
Yeah, man, exactly. So it's gonna be a very interesting week, man. I can't wait for this weekend, man. I'm so excited to watch the games, man. But hey, folks, it's about 9:10 right now. It's about time for us to get up out of here. Check us all out, man. Bleacher Report this Friday. Me, Ty, Steven, and Jay will be on there Friday at noon. And I got a live stream after the Texas game with Bleacher Report. Ty's all over Bleacher Report too. I think Steven's on Bleacher Report tomorrow. Jay's on Locked On Sooners. Chris has the Hornets Down podcast. And yeah, man, we're just all over the place, man. Catch us at all our channels, man. Like, comment, subscribe to all the channels. We do a lot of good work, man. We do God's work out here when it comes to college football. We're all over the place.
And Steven is asking who's winning the BR Pick'ems. Right now, Nino is. But I'm not going to lie. They're shafting me. Did you see Jay put together the record? And somehow they have given me less points than games I've picked correctly. And it's the only one of the group. I don't know. But
I don't know how they got
gotten,
it. Was it because of the pick'em game, like the motor pick?
I have less points. So everybody else, like they have at least the baseline of how many games they've picked correct plus
Yeah.
some points. I haven't gotten credit for being the only one who picked Ohio State not covering. And they
Yeah.
have given me less points than I have picked baseline games. I was like, what is happening?
Steven said he just wanted your rant.
No, Nino's killing it right now. 17-5, I believe. Like killing
Something like that, man. But I don't know. It's gonna get really tricky here. I did pick, Purdue to beat Notre Dame, so you can kind of give me hell for that one.
I picked Oregon State over Oregon, so I thought that was their Super Bowl, right? And I was like, well,
that was bad for me. I thought Notre Dame was very fraudulent, and it's not as fraud as I thought they were going to be. So
I thought Oregon was fraudulent, and they kicked the shit out of Oregon State.
Oh my god! All right, man. Well, look, man, it's time for us to get up out of here. Hey, man, check in all the channels, but check in Friday Bleacher Report and check in with us next week, man. We're going to talk about all these games, probably headlined by Tennessee versus Oklahoma, unless something really gets squirrely this week in the SEC football. But we out, man. Deuces.